Thank you, Dion. So I just want to have a quick check with the participant on their view right now, whether they are seeing my view or as a full view, or are they seeing 4 boxes? So if you can give me feedback in the chat, that would be really great.
Full view.
Which view?
Full view.
Full view, yeah? All right. So thank you so much, Dion. I'm just gonna continue from there, and I'm going to go straight into the manager's role in managing EQ. So I like to start with some findings from a State of the Heart report, which is a report produced by 6 Seconds organization that measures global trends in emotional intelligence since 2011. So based on that report, there has been a declining trend since 2011, and it has stabilized until, since 2016 onwards. Now, 6 Seconds organization is a California-based non-profit organization that's dedicated in creating awareness of emotional intelligence. So they produce a lot of EQ tests, doing surveys, and has been used in a number of peer-reviewed studies on emotional intelligence. So from this report, 200,000 respondents from 160 countries are obtained, and their EQ outcome scores are measured. Now, the outcome scores measures 4 key areas. So number 1 is their effectiveness, means how well can a person perform and deliver results. Number 2 is relationship, which is the capacity to connect with other people. Number 3 is quality of life, the capacity to find satisfaction in life. Number 4 is well-being, the capacity to maintain optimal energy and functioning. Now, the usual symptoms of not having this can be seen through their state of health, both physical and mental. Now, the question here is, were our team ready when they entered the lockdown period? How are they doing now? How do we know as managers in what can we do to manage that? So in my session today, I'm gonna zoom in on practices that managers can use in checking in their emotions and their well-being, yeah, as your team member. Now, I see this crisis period as an opportunity for managers to step up and to exercise more empathy with your team. And this EQ practice has to start with you first as a manager, yeah? So if we look back at our daily, management, team management at workplace, we're very busy, focusing on results, and you are set in an office setting with no distraction, and everyone comes to the office and very focused, yeah? So when they enter into lockdown and they work from home, they are moving into a different territory. Yes, it's their home, but it's their home where they have to perform work. So it's still a new territory per se, having to work from home, having to report to a boss, having to juggle multiple responsibilities at home. So in exercising empathy as managers, so you can ask questions on their well-being, just like how Dion has guided us through. Now, same goes for leader, the checking on situation and location. Yeah, very military, I like that. So that's the first thing, checking on survival. And from EQ perspective, you can go deeper and ask questions around the 4 areas. So number 1, ask about their effectiveness. How do they find their effectiveness at home? Do they see any difference? Any issue with internet? Any distractions? I mean, we're so used to, they themselves are used to performing their work at the office. Everything is very focused. They have colleagues around them. They have social connection with team members. They can see you whenever they want, and they can leave temporarily everything at home, if they have young children, spouse, and they can be completely focused. But um, having to perform work in a totally different environment will give a question mark to their effectiveness. So check on them. How do they rate their own effectiveness? Yeah. Number two, you can ask questions around relationship. How are they doing in terms of relationship? Is there a struggle at home? Mothers, in Malaysia, a lot of young executives here get married pretty early. They have young children. We hear things like mothers feeling guilty having their kids in front of them, and yet they're unable to give them attention. So some of them come from very close-knit family, and they have regular visits with their parents, but they are unable to do that in lockdown. So all these are affecting their relationship. Yeah. And the third thing, you can ask about their quality of life. Yeah. How are they feeling towards this whole situation? How is it affecting them? So different team members will have different effect from this lockdown. Some will go, yay, I work from home. Some will go, oh no. Yeah. So as manager, you need to know. You need to know these are information for you to keep handy as you guide them or you coach them and empower them so that they can continue to perform. Yeah. And next, you ask a question around their well-being. How are they coping up with the basics? Questions like, Dion shared, do you have food on the table? Do you have bills unpaid? The good news here in Malaysia, we have been given a stimulus package, moratorium. So great. Ask them if there's anything else, because you never know what are your team members facing at home. I've heard cases where young executives have they look chirpy and everything looks all right when they come to the office, but at home they're probably taking care of 4 or 5 younger siblings, and their parents are totally dependent on them, or some of them are taking care of sick parents, yeah, bedridden parents and all that. So check on them. Don't hold back. Yeah. Ask them questions from a human to human, not a manager to team members. Yeah, you would definitely uh, create human connections there, and I can tell you this will be your emotional investment with your team members, and it will go a long way. You will be well remembered as the manager who cares, the manager who listened to me, and they will come back and say, I will do anything for my manager. Yeah. So this is a good time for managers to step up, especially if you have always been a number driven, uh, give me the numbers, give me the result, and I don't care anything else. So this is the time to step up. Yeah. So these are simple questions that sometimes we take for granted, but empathy can be shown in these little details as managers. Yeah. Now, as managers, when you are asking these questions, you also need to practice listening without judgment. Okay. So that they're comfortable to share. So it's okay, whatever they're feeling. So whatever they want to share, you just, okay, that's it. And then don't go on, oh, how come you be so scared of this? So you shouldn't. There's no should and shouldn't when it comes to emotion. And as a manager, you have to start by not judging any of these emotions. Because one of the things that you're going to coach and guide and empower them is to learn that emotions are neutral. It's not to be judged. Meaning, it's okay for a father, if your team member is a father, is head of a family with a wife who is not working and a few children depending on him, it's okay for him as a man to say, I'm scared. Yeah. Because we have all this cultural conditioning, boys don't cry, if you're head of a family you should not be fearful, you must be brave at all times. Now, that's really against the principle of EQ. EQ is about acknowledging whatever emotions that anyone is feeling at any point of time. Now, having high EQ does not mean that one will not have fear, one will not be frustrated. Having strong EQ is about being able to experience all this and being able to navigate and knowing what to do with it. Yeah, that's the difference. Okay. Now, having empathy as well does not mean that you are going to succumb to the challenges that they are facing. So let's say, oh, I have challenges with internet. So that does not mean that you're going to give excuse, okay, since your internet sucks, so you're going to get exception. No, it's by no way it will become an excuse. So your role in listening is purely to understand, to have empathy, and to let your team members know that you're there as their manager to listen, and you will be there for them to guide, to coach, and to empower them. Okay, so I will also like to share a 3-step approach in helping and guiding your team members in managing or processing their emotions. Now, here in Malaysia, we don't learn emotional intelligence in school. We are not taught how to handle emotions. Kids are not taught how to face with bullies. Kids are not taught how to face with pressure, dealing with expectations to excel academically. Yeah. So when they enter workforce, guess what? They're not prepared to process emotions when if, when facing crises like this. Okay, they're not able to. We're not equipped to process emotions even at the non-crisis time. So again, as managers, this is your opportunity to step up and use this opportunity to exercise your empathy and guide your team member, ensure that you are there for them. All right. So I will share 3-step approach called VET, VET, which stands for validate, explore, and transform. So let's look at the first step. So first step is validating. So when you're validating, you can ask questions about what are the emotions that they are experiencing. Now, you really need to connect, and it's all in how you ask them. So you cannot ask them, okay, how are you feeling? How are you feeling today? How are you feeling today? No, you need to have that connection. Now, if your work culture have not been exposed to talk about feelings in a group setting, do not ask this in a group setting yet. Connect with them one-to-one. And while I know some companies, the managers have started with questions, a practice of grounding with the team by asking, what are you feeling right now? And they are free to share with the team. Now, you should know your team's culture. So if you're not there yet, start with one-to-one. The reason being, people are very protective to talk about their emotions because number one, we humans, we like to judge our emotions. If we feel that we are fearful, we immediately label that, oh, I'm such a loser, so scared, right? Or if you're frustrated, I'm so stupid. So there's a label there. So when they themselves have label, they will not be comfortable in sharing. Okay, so have it on a one-to-one basis. You can start by sharing yours. Hey, guess what? As a manager, I feel frustrated too. I cannot see you guys. You can start with sharing yours, and you got to be comfortable with your own emotions as well. So first start by don't judge your emotion. It's okay for a manager to feel scared at the same time. That shows that you're human. And that way they will start feeling comfortable. Oh, my manager is scared too. So let's process this together. All right. Now, be prepared with answers like, I'm fine. Oh, I'm fine, I'm fine. So that means they're not ready to open up. Now, you want to know, you want to observe how are they doing in terms of work performance and everything else. If they say, I'm fine, but they're not performing, that's an indication that they are bottling up some emotion that's bothering them. So you can attempt again, one-to-one, I'm blah, 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 blah. Is everything all right at home? And how does that make you feel? Yeah, ask questions about their emotion. Okay, so at this step, validating and acknowledging, yes, this emotion exists, and these emotions are purely set of data, neutral data. If they're scared, data. If they're frustrated, it's data. If they're excited because they get to work around their family, data. It's purely a neutral information. Okay. Now, there are also 4 types of people who struggle with sharing emotions. Yeah. So number 1 is some people wait too long to process. They're not sure. You may come across, how are you feeling? I don't know what I'm feeling. I don't know, nothing, maybe nothing. So they wait too long to process, yeah, because they probably don't want to process, or they have lack of courage to acknowledge that they have these emotions. Yeah. Now, number 2, there are people who feel something but they don't want to do anything about it. It's too scary. It's too scary to go through the emotion that I'm sad, I'm scared, I'm frustrated. Yeah. And number 3, there are people who try to rush past their feelings in the morning and say, oh, I'm really sad, I'm very frustrated. And after, oh, okay, boss, I'm fine. Yeah. They like to rush it because they're not willing to process it. Now, number 4, there are also people who dismiss their feelings due to a certain belief. So, for example, boys shouldn't cry, boys shouldn't feel fear, yeah, or women, if you're mothers, you shouldn't feel whatever, yeah, your children are depending on you and whatnot. So there's certain beliefs, right, and it's a cultural conditioning that says certain position, certain setting, there's certain emotion that people shouldn't feel. Yeah. So you may come across all this. So take time before you go next step. Take time to dig out and really connect with your emotions, right? So once you've got your emotions validated, your next step is to explore. Now, explore is when you process the emotions. Now, remember I said that emotions are data and information. Yeah. So from all these emotions, these are signals. These are signals of what does it mean? Yeah. So for example, fear. Fear is a signal that tells us human to be prepared. So fear can be converted into concern. The difference is this: fear, people who feel fear feel hopeless. I can't do anything about it. I'm fearful. But people who feel concern, people will feel concerned once they feel empowered that, hey, I can do something about this. Okay, my internet sucks. I'm feared. So if my boss cannot get hold of me, I'm dead. There goes my performance. Oh, I don't know what to do. But when the change converted into concern, okay, let's see, where can I find a solution to this, right? Now, I have prepared a list of emotions and signals, and if you are keen, I think I will share with everyone so managers can use that as a guide when you go through explore. Yeah. Now the last step before I pass to Dirk is to transform. Now in transforming the emotions, the set of information and data, this is where you guide them and empower them to apply consequential thinking. Now, consequential thinking is where you start looking at what actions will bring the desired outcome. So this is where you come in and empower them, ask them questions. What do you think you can do? What else? What have you not thought about in overcoming this challenge? Yeah. So this is how athletes perform. They turn nervous into excitement that translates into more intensive practice and preparation. Okay, so as managers, if you help them see through this step by step, you can help that prevent that emotional hijack within your team. Now, emotional hijack is when they give a knee-jerk reaction. I'm fear, so I'm going to go buy toilet paper and and go into panic buying. That's an example of emotional hijack, where people don't get to process and think what's a rational action that comes from their emotion. Yeah. So I hope that helps. And for this, again, for this webinar attendees, I will share a 2-pager guide on the VET process together with a list of category emotion and what are the messages that you can use as a guide. So for that, I'm going to pass over to Dirk on performance management. Okay, over to you,